Sometimes, the perfect crime doesn't require a gun. It requires a glass of wine. Nice. France. Summer of 1976. The playground for millionaires and the European elite. In the heart of the city, the Société Générale Bank, a fortress considered impenetrable. Monday, July 19th. The employees arrive. The vault won't open. The keys turn, but the steel resists. Something is jamming the door from the inside. Panic sets in. The police are called. They decide to break in through the side. Hours of hammering, dust, noise, and then silence on the other side. The hole is breached. What they saw made history. Total chaos. Hundreds of boxes pried open. The floor covered in gold and secrets. The main door wasn't jammed. It was welded shut from the inside. But the real shock? Leftover food, empty wine bottles. They had a picnic. And on the wall, the ghost's signature, without weapons, without hatred, without violence. Who are they? How did they get in? And where did they go? The answer was beneath their feet, in the kingdom of rats. This isn't a story about common thugs. It's about an artist. His name, Albert Spaggiari, photographer by day, criminal mastermind by night. He hated guns, he loved style, and he wanted to challenge the system. It all started a year earlier. Not with a gun, but with a map. The Payon River, the underground vein running straight to the bank's heart. But glory has a price, and the price was the smell. The nice underworld, a forgotten labyrinth, the perfect spot for an invisible operation. He needed proof. He needed to measure. He needed to know if it was possible. The obstacle? The vault's seismic and acoustic sensors. Any vibration. Alarm. The test. He hid an alarm clock in the vault wall to test the acoustics. The plan was madness. But madness is just misunderstood genius. I look at his hands in the photo. Clean, soft, hands that never held a shovel. For the dirty work, he needed to get down to street level, to find the wolves. Marseille, where the mafia breathes. I can imagine the smoke and the deal being made at this table. Dangerous men, professionals, half the loot in exchange for the sweat. The plan required insanity. 800 meters of absolute darkness to the target. May 1976. They went down, and the city above kept sleeping. I'm retracing their steps. The smell down here is the first barrier. I find remnants of the battle. Broken drills. The rock fought back. The air is toxic. I imagine them here, fainting, choking, but keeping on. Spaggiari would visit. The director, bringing wine to keep morale high. They made a home here. Kitchen. Electric light. They civilized hell. 2 months. 3 meters a day. A slow, painful countdown. Bastille Day. The bank would be empty. The moment of truth. They reached the end. Only one wall separated the mud from the gold. But the vibration sensor was still there. One wrong move and it would all be over. The solution wasn't brute force, it was physics. A hydraulic jack. Push, don't hit. 50 tons of silent pressure. The wall fell onto a mattress. Not a whisper was heard on the street above. I'm inside. The air changes. The smell of rot vanishes. They took off their masks here. I can feel the phantom euphoria in this place. First thing, weld the exit. Ensure no one disturbs us. The looting began. Violent. Fast. Papers and secrets flying. Forgotten jewelry. There was so much money they could afford to drop it. But it wasn't just a heist. It was a weekend party. They cooked in here, drank, laughed in our faces. October 1976. The phone rang. An anonymous voice. A scorned woman. The oldest story in the world. She gave up the path. Not in Nice, but in the mountains, an isolated villa. I came here, the hideout, where they split the loot. Police surrounded this place, dozens of armed men against. Photographers. Did they find guns? No, they found hunting rifles and cigars. Did they recover any money? Almost nothing. The bulk had already vanished. They arrested the accomplices. The Marseille Mafia doesn't talk. Omerta. But they caught the main prize, Albert Spaggiari. Look at him. He doesn't look trapped. He looks like he's having fun. The interrogation was theater. He didn't deny. He philosophized. He spoke of politics, of the system, confusing the police. They thought they had won, that the bird was in the cage. March 1977, the Palace of Justice, the final stage. Spaggiari asked to speak to the judge. Alone, said he had evidence. He was taken to Judge Richard's office, second floor. Plan B. He always had a plan B. He handed a coded paper to the judge. Here are the names, he said. The judge got distracted, tried to decipher. It was the fatal second. Spaggiari didn't run for the door. He ran for the window. Second floor, 8 meters. Suicide? No. Calculation. He jumped, without hesitation. Landed on the roof of a parked Renault. The metal cushioned the fall. A motorcycle was waiting, engine running, a loyal accomplice. He hopped on the back, raised his arm in salute, and vanished forever. The police were left with the exhaust fumes. He evaporated. Red alert issued. Borders closed. Airports watched. Too late. Spaggiari wasn't in France anymore. The world was his stage. The papers loved him. The people loved him. He became an anti-hero. He humiliated the system, and they laughed along with him. Rumors started. South America, the refuge of exiles. Brazil, Argentina. He lived like a king in hiding. They say he changed his face, plastic surgery, a new man. But the eyes never change. The arrogance remained. He was a photographer. Remember? He controlled his own image. He sent tapes, letters, kept taunting the French police from across the ocean. He bought a ranch in Argentina, cattle, land, freedom, took photos of landscapes, lived the life he stole. Years passed. The 80s ended. The hunt went cold. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. What the police didn't catch, the disease did. Throat cancer. The chain smoker was dying. He knew the end was near, but he wanted to die at home. One last trip, clandestine, back to Europe. Italy, hidden in the shadows of the Alps, waiting for death. June 1989. The brain took his last breath, free. But the story has a bizarre epilogue, the return of the prodigal son. Loyal friends brought his body back to France, left it at his mother's door. Not even in death did the police catch him. He turned himself in when he wanted. Case closed? Maybe on paper. But the money, most of it was never found. Spaggiari wasn't just a thief, he was a soldier. Indochina War, secret army organization. He hated the government. The darkest theory? The heist wasn't for greed, it was for funding. They say the money went to fund paramilitary operations in Europe. A blow against the state, funded by the state itself. Some say the CIA turned a blind eye, that he was a useful asset. Spies? Maybe. Or just thugs with delusions of grandeur. But the real conspiracy is simpler. Ego. Years later, another man claimed the throne. Jacques Cassandre. Spaggiari was the face, the photographer, the charm. But who planned the heavy logistics? The mafia says it was Cassandre. Was Spaggiari just a charismatic puppet for the mafia? The phrase on the wall. Poetry or marketing? 60 million francs in 1976. The exact amount is a mystery to this day. The money melted away, laundered into real estate, businesses, and silence. Their legacy? They changed bank security forever. Modern sensors detect even a rat's breath. Thanks to them. The time of gentlemen is over. Today, theft is digital. But none had Spaggiari's class. None had the wine. He never hurt anyone. Does that make him innocent? Ask the manager who lost his job, the families who lost inheritances. We romanticize the villain because he tricked the system we hate. Spaggiari died in bed. Cassandre died of old age. Did crime pay? Justice is slow. Sometimes it doesn't arrive at all. The sun rises in Nice. The tunnel is closed, but the legend remains open. Hollywood loved the story. Books, movies, crime became entertainment. But reality has no soundtrack. It has consequences. The city forgot. The bank reinforced the walls. Life moved on. But the gold, the gold, it's still out there, somewhere. Melted, buried, spent, Maybe it's in your pocket right now. I go back to the beginning. The manhole. The scar on the pavement. Spaggiari didn't just steal money. He stole our security. He proved that no wall is thick enough if you have time. And patience. Patience is the most dangerous weapon of all. Was it the perfect crime? Almost. Perfection doesn't exist in this world. Human error always shows up. Vanity, love, fear. Spaggiari died free, but he died alone. That was the price. Without weapons, without hatred, without violence. A beautiful lie. Because theft is violence. It breaks trust. But we can't deny. It was a beautiful story. And you? What would you do with 60 million and a free weekend? Does opportunity make the thief? Or does the thief create the opportunity? This case is closed. But the X file never sleeps. There are other tunnels, other secrets, other shadows. I am the investigator, and I'll see you at the next crime. Which mystery should we dig up next? Leave it in the comments. The X cases. Script, Agent X. Investigation, Global Archive. Without weapons, without hatred, without violence. End of transmission.